after seeing or reviewing the footage, there was possibly 2 or 3 incidences where someone's intentionally killed a civilian.
The crap that they talked about, like the beheaded babies, you don't see any of that.
Oh, there's zero of that.
None of that.
Zero.
Yeah.
Like, literally none of that exists in the videos. The vast majority of people, as you know, were killed by Israel. You had, what, 1,150. At least 400 of them are soldiers. And then you had 750. And then they deployed the Hannibal Directive. You had shelling into certain kibbutzes. From a personal perspective, like you think about it from a psychology of somebody who's in Palestine, they're losing all the West Bank.
Yeah,
They're losing all their homes.
They are,
and
yeah.
it's just happening in a slightly slower process.
It's nuts that like some dude from Brooklyn,
Yeah.
right? Harvey from Brooklyn can go
Yeah.
to the West Bank and take a home there from someone that was born in from the land. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it's mental.
What do you think were the top reasons that October 7th happened?
From Hamas's perspective.
Yeah, from Hamas'
I mean, I
perspective,
think
yeah.
the main reason was because they wanted to get their hostages.
Yeah.
And they wanted to basically negotiate and convert those hostages for Palestinian hostages. But the second reason is obviously they were concerned that what was going to happen was there was going to be some kind of overarching Abraham Accords, which would leave them without a place. And remember, you have to remember, like, you think this is like a bad maneuver, but if you look at it from this perspective, they've been ghettoized in that region since 67, right? Because if Israel wanted, they could have done 1-2 things. They won the war, right? They could have either bring Gaza and the West Bank as part of Israel,
Yeah.
right? Or they could have given it its separate state. But they didn't want to do either. They didn't want to give them a separate state, quite clearly, because they don't want Palestine to have a state. But they didn't want to incorporate as part of Israel because then they have a minority population.
Yeah.
So the third option was...
So I was trying to explain to Brandon Tatum that like they would never have a one state because they would have to maintain the majority.
Exactly.
That's why they call it state.
Yeah.
But sorry, keep going.
And remember, like, their plan, even since 48, was always, we want to have 80-20. We always want to have more, like 80 or 75% compared to, you know, the Arab or the...
Well, also because they know that, you know, if they were to allow the Palestinians to assimilate in, they would quickly lose the advantage because they have kids faster. They have more kids.
Exactly, I agree with
You
that.
know,
because
so-
they claim that Israel's birth rate is quite high, but I think that's a lie.
You don't think it's as high? You
No.
don't think it's higher than us here in America, though, right?
I think they're lying.
Or you think they're lying about that?
Bro, like, they're all LGBT, like, into feminism. I think they're lying.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, like, that's the second reason. Because what will have happened is they were afraid, obviously.
So number one was you would say hostages.
Number one's hostages.
To do a hostage negotiation. And it's funny because Western media never talks about that. You know, that like, oh, they just went in there, they just want to kill and pillage everybody. But I'm like, dude, it's about getting hostages.
And even like the pillaging thing, like there's no evidence of that, right? Like you've been through it so much in the last 2 years. I've been through it. Like there's zero, except for like, and we're honest, right? I think like we're not like blind. So after seeing or reviewing the footage, there was possibly 2 or 3 incidences where someone's intentionally killed a civilian.
Yeah.
And there's one that they didn't show us, but we've seen it now because they released it, but we already knew about it because what
You're
happened
talking about the 45-minute video, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, guys, whenever they tell you, and I might as well tell the audience
Yeah,
this,
please.
there's this video out there. It's like a 45-minute, 48-minute, 50-minute, somewhere in that range compilation video, okay, where the Israeli government compiled all the GoPro footage and all the different camera angles they had, and they did like a compilation of what happened on October 7th. And you've seen the video in full, right?
So what I've seen is the website full of all the videos.
That's
So I've seen all of that.
The scan code that he gave to the UN when he was at the UN.
Yeah. I've seen all that and the ones they released on the website. But this 48-minute video, what they try and make it look like is...
A lot of it is Hamas fighters getting killed in there, too.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of it is them, like, dying because they had these GoPros, and it's them getting shot and dying on camera.
Exactly.
Like,
it's like a lot of people running.
Yeah.
They're like running and trying to get to, like, hiding into certain places.
But yeah, the crap that they talked about, like the beheaded babies, you don't see any of that.
Oh, there's zero of
None
that.
of that.
Zero everything.
Yeah.
Like, literally none of that exists in the videos. There's 4 incidences where you'd say, look, there is a possibility it's worth having a conversation about. 3, like I said, where there's a shooting. 1 looks like an assassination. And again, you don't know what happened before, what happened after, but just on the snippet, right? And then there's one video which, like, there were reporters who watched it. We weren't them. Owen Jones is one. Obviously, like, many people disagree with him. But the point is, he said, look, I've seen the video and I've seen the other footage. And there's only, like, 1 extra incident that you would say is, like, problematic. And it's this incident that they released about a month or 2 ago, which is that there's a father and 2 children. The father runs into like this shelter and then they throw like a grenade.
I did see that one, yeah. That
So
resurfaced again like earlier this month, yeah.
So
or
that's
last month.
So that's the only thing you'd say is extra, which is intentional killing, which is in the 48-minute video. So that's it really. So there's like 4.
Still horrible, right?
It is horrible. And
yeah.
we like it's not acceptable, right?
Yeah.
So those people, I think, those people who did it, let's look at this, unless they are guilty, they should be tried. and they should, like, you know, they should be tried in court. Like, we don't agree with that. We don't agree with vigilantism, right? There's certain rules and ethics, both within Western society, which we agree with, and within Islam, which we agree with, that you can't do. And this is an example of something that you shouldn't do. So, like, yeah, but this whole idea that all of it happened like that is completely incorrect. Like, the vast majority of people, as you know, were killed by Israel. You had, what, 1,150, at least 400 of them are soldiers. And then you had 750, and then they deployed the Hannibal Directive. You had shelling into certain kibbutzes. I would say, like, if you ask me, Suleiman, how much people do you think Hamas actually killed? I'd probably say like 200, 250. That makes the most sense based on the situation.
I pegged it around 600.
Hamas killed.
Yeah, at most 600 they killed.
How could there be 600 though? Because, like, 1,150, take away 400 soldiers, 750.
Yep.
So you're saying Israel only killed like 100?
Yeah.
With Apache helicopters. Remember, when they killed Apache helicopters, just to give you the depth of how many people they killed,
Well, I'm saying 600 at most.
At most.
At most is what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course. Like, logically, that could be the max. But, like,
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, what do I actually think? I think 200.
You think 200 were killed by Hamas?
Yeah, because let's just take the Apache helicopter.
Okay.
So the Apache helicopter.
Which, matter of fact, let me pull that up right now, because this is something that Brandon Tatum tried to tell me, like, oh, you know, Hamas killed all these people. I was like, bro, like, are you aware that literally those Apache helicopters, like, raining Hellfire missiles down? And the way, like, Hamas doesn't have that capability. People are burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
But go ahead, keep going.
And you're right. And when they deployed the Hannibal Directive, right, which is what this guy claimed, right, this Tatum guy, he was like, because I could read I think some Israelis sent him a script. Because he read
probably
it on his
did.
laptop, right?
Yeah, he had a laptop the whole
He
time.
read it on his laptop because he was first saying, like, I don't know what that is. And then he said, oh, I've just read the Hannibal Directive. And then he used the Israeli line that is soldiers.
Yeah.
No way someone like him would have been, like, coming with that argument.
And here you go right here. Video released by Israeli Army shows helicopters firing indiscriminately on October 7th.
Yeah.
And you can hear them talking to each other in Hebrew. Like, you guys can see, and this is what I told Tatum. I was like, yo, it's like thermal vision, bro. You can't tell who's who.
Exactly.
Right? So, they're just blowing up cars.
How can you tell if that's a soldier or a civilian?
Yeah, like, you can't tell, like, what they are. Like, you just see green. And they were told, fire at everything. Do not let anything get back into the strip.
True.
You know? So, but yeah, here's the footage, guys. Like, you guys are literally see these cars are getting absolutely demolished. But sorry, you were saying?
And so on this, so they've done this, right? Like you said, they're demolishing places. They killed 200 Hamas people from this Hellfire missiles.
Okay,
But actually, they killed more. But 200 of them were burnt so badly that they thought they were Israelis.
Yeah, they couldn't
So do you
even
remember the
identify
original number was so high?
Yeah, 2,000.
And they reduced it. And one of the argument is that 200 of the Hamas members, we thought they were Israelis, but later on we found out they're Hamas.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the original figure was 2,000 dead.
Yeah.
And then they revised it down to 1,200.
And so what that tells you is, if they've killed 200 Hamas members, minimum, they probably killed more than that, because this is the ones they confused as Israelis. So they probably killed 300-400 Hamas members from Hellfire missiles. 200 of them, they thought they was their own people, but they end up being Hamas. Means they've probably killed about 100-200 at least Israelis, because they're just bombarding. So if we think that they killed about 100-200 from the Apache helicopters, and then from Kibbutz Berry.
Look at all these people running here. Look, you can see them right there, and they're just like blowing them up, machine guns, all that. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, and then Kibbutz Berry. Kibbutz Berry is really important because that was the place where one of the babies was killed. You know,
Cohen, yeah.
And what the Israeli newspaper said, and what they confirmed, and what the military leaders confirmed, is that they were basically using artillery fire indiscriminately in Kibbutz Berry, right? And so what we know again in Kibbutz Berry is Israelis were firing indiscriminately, and I believe 120 people were killed, the vast majority by Israel. So if they've killed, let's say, 70, 80 people there, 200 there, we're already knocking 300-400 off just from two locations. So that's why I get to the figure of 200. I think then you take Kibbutz Kafar, you take the other various places, you take Nova Festival, they've killed a lot of their own people.
Yeah.
The people who were driving back.
I mean, they were frantically trying to get involved too. Like, they didn't know what was going on, you know, because I think when Hamas invaded, one of the first things they do was destroy the radio towers.
Yeah, they did.
That was like one of the first things they did.
Yeah, they did. And they targeted the military bases and they targeted the kibbutz. And the kibbutz have military personnel in there. And that's the reason for it. So, like, a lot of these videos that show of women being taken in, those women were actual soldiers. So that's basically one of the things that happened. So I thought it was...
I think this is the original video right here. This comes, and you guys know I like this channel. It's called Propaganda & Co. It's a funny video. Sorry, funny name of the channel. Let me see here. I think they covered
wall and destroy the Israeli arrogance and complacency to plan and operate relatively undetected. In the early hours of October 7th, a blitz.
All right, so this will give you guys a quick little summary of what went down on that morning. And then we'll keep going into, because I know we're talking about the Abraham Accords. We'll come back to like the reasons.
Of over 2,200 rockets were fired at the Iron Dome missile defense system. But this was only truly meant to provide the cover needed to fly drones over the $1 billion iron wall and destroy the remote-controlled machine gun turrets and communication towers. They rammed through the first layer of the fence and then created over 20 separate breach points through the main iron wall. Their immediate objectives: take out important nearby command and control military sites. And
now, can you explain real quick to the audience, kibbutzes, how that works, and then how they have these things set up here on the border?
Yeah, so the Nahal Oz is a military base. So that's the reason they targeted that. Kibbutz Reem is a kibbutz. And again, they targeted that because what happens is these kibbutzes have military personnel in there.
Yeah.
And so...
And kibbutz is like a, I guess, crude way of saying this is like maybe a neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, you could say
like little homes like in
it's like a sanctuary area, but it's not a sanctuary because within that area, they do have people like normal workers.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of military personnel. But the reason they place them kibbutzes there is basically to kind of, again, observe Gaza as well.
Of course,
yeah. So there's kind of like this kind of weird, like, evil reasoning for why it's there. But yeah, that's the kibbutzes. The kibbutzes used for like farming and various other things. But at the same time, there's like military personnel there as well.
Yeah, a lot of military personnel.
And the same with Urim. So again, they had military personnel there. So that's the reason you target them. And then there was obviously Kibbutz Kafar and various other kibbutzes. There was another military base as well. So they just basically were Nahal. So they basically targeted them, different locations. And as he said, they basically penetrated through about 25 different locations.
Yep.
But the aim was to get to those specific areas because you had to take them out because they're right on your base. If you didn't take them out, you would struggle. So, and funny enough, it was Kibbutz Reem, I think, where Hamas actually struggled to get in. Like there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of fire back and forth.
Okay.
So they did like a decent job in that kibbutz. It was actually the military Nahal base that they just completely took over very easily.
Gotcha. Yeah, and they did this very early in the morning, so people were asleep or
It's like 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, and it was right around Yom Kippur too, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Which is like one of their big holidays.
Yeah.
so as quickly as possible before the Israelis could respond. So they split into small divisions and raced to their targets. Speedboats raced across the ocean and onto the beaches of Zakim, while paragliders flew over the wall and landed in various areas. Guys on beat-up motorcycles and pickup trucks used homemade anti-tank missiles to take out $3 million Merkava tanks and $20 million Apache helicopters. They conquered Re'im military base, an important communication.
That's the one you just mentioned, right? Yeah, they took it over quickly.
And drone surveillance headquarters, killing or capturing all the soldiers inside before destroying the server rooms. According to Scott Ritter, Hamas struck the headquarters of the Gaza division, the local intelligence hub, and other major command and control.
And this was a big reason why it took them so long to respond and they were discombobulated. And I'm realizing this, right? With modern warfare, we went from the days of trench warfare, shooting at each other, just trying to kill each other to, okay, we have to go after communication infrastructure and technology first, then we can go ahead and move into the actual combat. Like, this is what modern warfare has done, where it's like, you can't prioritize taking people right away. You have to destroy the communications and the technology. This is what Israel did with Iran. Made them effectively blind for several hours.
Infrastructure is the most important thing. Like, you take that out and you basically
take out the technology, and then bam, now they're operating blind.
Facilities with brutal precision, turning what should have been a 5-minute response time into many hours. More than enough time for Hamas to carry out one of its primary objectives, the taking of hostages, to use as exchange for the near 5,000 men, women, and children
as well,
rotting.
Like, in these kibbutzes and in this military base, there was soldiers there. Yeah. So you have to, like, it's not like Hamas just went in and then nobody was there. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have to fight with soldiers. They had to fight with military people. And so from the Israeli perspective, again, like, I know it doesn't take long for a helicopter to go from like Tel Aviv or from their different military bases to here. But at the same time, they already have those people stationed in. And so that kind of explains why there was a bit of a time lag as well.
Yeah. Okay.
in Israeli administrative detention centers, returning to Gaza with more than 230 Israeli soldiers and civilians. The result was a complete rout of local Israeli military forces. For hours, the Israelis were completely in the dark, confused as to where the attack was even coming from. Thousands of rockets were in the air, dozens of bases and military settlements, aka kibbutz, were captured, and multiple helicopters and tanks were destroyed. The attack came so hard and so fast that many IDF soldiers were still in their pajamas as the resistance fighters entered the barracks. How could these half-starved and besieged fighters have the gall to escape their prison and carry out an attack like this? No one in Israel could have imagined it, let alone expected. Desperate to respond, the Israelis began to implement scorched earth tactics. Their helicopters began firing Hellfire missiles and machine gun rounds indiscriminately at vehicles and people running in the fields. Tanks rolled through the kibbutz and main roads and shelled houses as ground troops exchanged fire
This was
with
confirmed by,
militants. This led to
This
the
was
death.
confirmed in terms of the shelling by, like we mentioned, Israeli military.
Oh, that they were using the Hannibal directive on that day?
The fact that they were firing it was like the Hannibal directive, but they were just, because they were just going in with the tanks, they were just firing indiscriminately.
Yeah, they were.
And so even like Yasmin Pora, if you remember, like she went completely, like, somehow, I don't know what happened to her. She disappeared, right? But she basically said that when the Hamas had her, they were protecting her, and they're protecting her from Israeli shots.
Oh.
So remember, that was the
See if I can
big
find-
scandal.
Yeah.
With Yasmin Pora. She said it on a radio show.
Yes.
And
I
then,
was
and then,
gonna.
like, after that, she went completely silent.
Okay, we talked about one of the main reasons why they came was to get the hostages. That was the main reason. That was
Yeah.
their main objective. They wanted to take 100. I didn't know that. I didn't know what their preconceived, amount of people they want to take. So they end up taking up, 250 almost, right?
Yeah. Which, you think about it logically, they just don't have the capability to take those people and to look after them and to keep them as hostage. It's a large number of people, 250.
It is.
It was unexpected. The Nova Festival really did throw a wrench in the situation.
Okay. So what other reasons do you think, caused October 7th?
I mean, I'd say those two are the main. Obviously, in terms of, like, from a personal perspective.
Hostages and occupation.
Yeah. I mean, from a personal perspective, like, you think about it from a psychology of somebody who's in Palestine. We explained early in the show, first of all, how they intentionally kept them in a ghetto, how they never wanted to give them citizenship, both within Israel and as a separate nation. These people were terrorized. They were kept in a concentration camp. They were put on a calorie diet, which means that, like, whatever the number of calories is, you were given, like, for an adult is what, 1,000? You're the expert on this. What is it?
Yeah, they gave them a diet is what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave them like a diet.
Yeah.
Which
so-
is crazy because, like, people say that they're not occupied, but it's like, bro, they literally control the food and water going in.
Exactly. And they control the land, sea, and air. And so just think about...
Power, everything.
Yeah. And then they'd regularly bomb. They'd regularly destroy. Like the El Shifa hospital, if you Dr. Mads Gilbert, there's this, like, he was in there in 2015 and they basically bombed it and he thought they're all going to die. And he's from Norway. So the point being, like, the regular bombing of hospitals, regular bombing of people, kept us hostages. And so the idea is that, look, like, this is an opportunity to break out. When you break out against your captor, you are going to act aggressive. Actually, when I look at the actions of October the 7th and I look at the psychology of a person, just think about it. If someone like yourself, right? If you're put in that situation and then you have to face your captor, how would you act? This is your chance to accept.
They're going to go crazy,
Yeah, you're going to go crazy. Like, some people will knock him out. Some people will kill him.
Yeah.
Some people will want to mutilate him. Like, you'd be like, you abused me for this long. You murdered my brother. You murdered my sister.
Yeah.
You basically have kept my father in 20 years as hostage and him in Israeli prisons. Now you're in front of me. Like, I would say they've acted very calmly on October 7th when you take all of that into context.
Yeah.
Except for
I
them
think
few
that's
instances.
something that people aren't aware of is, like, Zionists always like to start the argument on October 7th, but they never talk about what led to October 7th, right? The occupation. These Hamas fighters, they were kids at one point, right? What ended up happening, a lot of times they get radicalized because a family member was killed or somebody was taken and put in prison without charge or someone in their family. Like, any of these guys, I guarantee you, if you ask them, why did you join up in the resistance? They'll tell you, oh, yeah, because this happened to my family member.
Yeah.
This person happened here. And it's just a very sucky situation because the Israelis don't want to give them any type of sovereignty or self-determination. This is what ends up happening. And then they expect them to sit there and just be occupied in their open-air prison and just take it.
And then
it's
they've
like,
seen in the West Bank, right, where there isn't any resistance. They're losing all the West Bank.
Yeah,
They're losing all their homes.
They are,
and
yeah.
it's just happening in a slightly slower process.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, compared to Gaza.
It's nuts that, like, some dude from Brooklyn,
Yeah.
right, Harvey from Brooklyn, can go to the West Bank and take a home there from someone that was born in, from the land. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it's mental. And someone who's Palestinian, who's born there, who could show their heritage for the last like 2, 3, 4 generations is not allowed back in the country.
Yeah, that's, and that's what's going on, chat. Like, I don't think people understand, like, the ridiculous amount of oppression that these people are dealing with. Like, it's not like this hate just came out of nowhere and there's this, like, vacuum. Now, obviously, it sucks because, obviously, it leads to inevitable violence. But I always find it interesting how the pro-Zionists always start the conflict on October 7th. They never start it with, what led to that.
Yeah.
They never talk about the Abraham Accords. They never talk about the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's another thing. No one talks about the theological side as well. I mean, the operation was called the Al-Aqsa Flood, but it never gets talked about in Western media.
Yeah.
What
is funny, Dinesh D'Souza was talking about this on a couple, because what happened was Dinesh D'Souza, like, obviously I do prep for like certain shows, right? As I did for this one. And like Dinesh D'Souza was doing a couple of interviews, promoting his October 7th book thing. Obviously, when
does it come out? It's out now?
It's out now, yeah.
Okay. What's the name of it?
It's called Dragon something.
Oh, yes, I saw a promo for it.
Yeah. And what it is, obviously, he didn't make these points on Elijah's show because Elijah was a bit aggressive towards him and was like kind of debating him where he didn't have that in previous ones. But like one of the arguments he made was this. He said, and I think it's interesting to debunk it because it's the same argument he keeps making. Because his aim of his movie is this. He wants to bring Christians back into this like Christian Judaism. Or Judeo-Christianity, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And so he's like, look, what you find in the story is a very Christianity ideology. And what I mean by this is this. He gives this example. He says, in the past, in the Bible, you have the Philistines. And right now you have the Palestinians. And the names are very similar. And the Philistines fought the Israelites.
Well, in Arabic, it's called Philistini. That's what you call them in Arabic.
Yeah. And so in the Bible, the Philistines fought the Israelites. And they tried to ridicule them. And they tried to ridicule Samson. And they made him dance around when they took him as a hostage. And the Philistines did that. And the Palestinians did that. And you can see what's the similarity. The similarity is in the name. That's his argument. And so he's like, you're seeing this biblical story being reincarnated again right now, where the Palestinians are the bad guys. But what's interesting is actually the same story works against him. Because who were the Philistines? They were Europeans.
Okay.
And so what he's saying is, in that movie, he's saying the Philistines were our enemies, the Europeans. Okay. And they'll always be our enemies.
I didn't see the movie, so... But you watched it, I'm guessing?
No, I just watched his interview.
Okay, the interview about it. Okay.
And so he says the Philistines, Europeans, and they say the Philistines are going to be our enemies forever. Which is basically saying the Europeans are going to be our enemy. So if somebody actually understands it, he's literally saying like, what that story tells you is the Europeans are going to be our enemies forever, which is whites or Christians. And the second part of the story is the guy who is being ridiculed is Samson.
Okay.
What's the Samson option?
Well, yeah, destroying everything.
But actually, more specifically, destroying European countries.
Yeah.
Destroying America and European countries is destroying their allies. Because they said the allies didn't work hard enough to save them, and therefore we're going to bomb London, we're going to bomb Paris, we're going to bomb Brussels, we're going to bomb New York, we're going to bomb LA. And so it links to this whole Philistine thing, which actually is hatred of whites and Christians.
Interesting.
Even though he's trying to use that story to bring them on
I'm not too familiar with that stuff.
Just because you brought the theology up, so I thought.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. Of course. I was going to say the other thing, too, also is with the red cows. The heifers as well, with them, trying to, and they killed one of the cows July 1st. What's that guy? What's this?
Adam King.
Adam King. He went on Timcast.
Yeah.
And he said, I was in Israel and we sacrificed a cow as like a test run. I was like, what?
No,
and he brought the ashes to the studio.
No, wasn't he claiming that they lied to everybody and said it was a test run, but it was the real, legitimate thing?
Oh, I don't know. I just know that he brought ashes of a cow to the studio.
Yeah, because they say it's got like spiritual healing and spiritual.
Some shit like that.
Yeah, so I think their claim is that they've sacrificed the red heifer.
Okay, so you think they killed one of the red ones? Because they have like
no, that's their opinion. Yeah, like I don't believe in that.
No. Of course, I know you don't believe in it, but I'm saying, I mean, as in, you think that they actually killed one of the red cows, the red heifers.
I believe that's what he was claiming. Yeah.
Okay. Because he tried to make it like they didn't kill one of the red cows; they killed like another one. But who knows? They could be lying about that. But yeah, they definitely did a test run in July. And then, you got these people in the government like Ben Gvir, who goes up to the Temple Mount all the time. Well, he goes up to the Al-Aqsa Mosque all the time to try to provoke, because they're not supposed to go there. Yeah. But what he'll do is he'll take his security, he'll go up there, and obviously agitate the Muslim community there. Yeah. He does it all the time.
And it's just against Judaism, right? Because according to their religion, they're not meant to rebuild the third temple.
Yeah.
right? According to their religion, what's meant to happen is the Messiah's meant to come back, and then the third temple is meant to be rebuilt. And their belief is that if they do attempt to rebuild the third temple,
And accelerate it.
it'll get destroyed, and they'll be destroyed for like 1,000 years. So they won't get the eschatological third temple if they do it themselves.
Yeah.
So they're actually going against their own belief system by doing it.
Well, yeah, isn't this why like the very religious
Yeah.
acidic, I don't know if it's acidic
Yeah,
or
that's right, yeah.
yeah, the acidic ones are like, they're like pro Palestine. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
this is you're accelerating the problem, and this is not how we're supposed to
Exactly.
build the temple.
They believe that if these guys rebuild the third temple, these guys will remain without a land for 1,000 years.
Okay, so the Orthodox guys believe if these Zionists keep doing this, that they're gonna be without a land for another
Yeah.
1,000 years. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's like they're like from Brooklyn, right? A lot of them from like.
Some of them are from Brooklyn.
Yeah, yeah,
You
like-
have a lot of them in Israel, and in Israel they're oppressed.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They're in
yeah.
Israel too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think they'd be there because doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of them being there?
Yeah, I think it's just because they're in the land, but they don't believe there should be a state. So they should be desolate in the land, but they shouldn't be an Israeli state.
Gotcha.
And
I see
so
what you mean.
in Israel, there's a large proportion of them. Some say like 10, 15, 20%. To the ones I speak to, they say the number's larger, but they don't show it because the Israelis try and basically harm them.
Yeah.
Israelis basically try and sterilize them. Israelis take the water supply off them. So because they get oppressed and abused by the Zionists, what they do is don't tell their real number. But these guys have a lot of children. They have like 8, 10 children each.
Yeah. These are the ones that are actually like breeding like crazy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because for those of you that are wondering, like when you're walking around in Brooklyn and stuff, and the guys have like the curls and they're wearing all the black and stuff like that. These very devout ones. A lot of these guys don't believe in Israel for religious purposes or whatever.